Let's get across the market open now. David Lane joining us from Ord Minnett. David, welcome to Tuesday. Of course, the breaking news this morning is that Donald Trump announcing a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. So what's the market reaction we can expect?
Yes, Andrew. Well, certainly, very volatile night. Overnight, we saw Iran initially bombing the US base in Qatar, and apparently that was well telegraphed. And interestingly, the same number of bombs that were dropped on Iran were dropped on the US Air Force base, but that was telegraphed in advance. So apparently that was only a fairly symbolic type move, and there wasn't much damage there. So we did actually see the European markets down quite a bit early, but then, as you mentioned, Donald Trump has said that there will be a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. So we've since then seen the US market rally quite strongly, oil sell off quite significantly, down about 8.8%, and also gold's come off quite a bit. So in spite of all of that activity overnight, initially what we thought was going to be negative news once again turned into a positive. So it looks like the Australian market will react positively this morning. Futures is up about 62 points, so about 0.7% there today.
All right, so look, clearly in those key commodities in focus with oil. So what are your expectations? I mean, given what's happened with those energy stocks, certainly since the outbreak of that conflict between Israel and Iran?
Yeah, well, it certainly looks like we'll see a fairly significant sell-off today in those oil stocks. We did obviously see late last week a rally in those. Santos may well hold up a little bit better than the others because it's got the bid on the table and still trading well below that bid level. But we should probably see their share price off a little bit today as well. So I imagine that those oil stocks will come off quite a bit. Probably likely to also see the gold stocks come off because there's a bit of a sell-off of the defensive type plays, and I think that we'll see money going into equities away from gold and oil.
Uranium stocks have been another beneficiary during this crisis too. Where do you see those stocks? They're proved to be very volatile, of course.
Well, very, very volatile, obviously, yes. I think we probably will see a bit of a weakness in them as well, possibly not as much as the oil stocks, because obviously, the nuclear or the uranium bases that Iran had have been wiped out. So, from a global demand perspective, I guess we could sort of say that there will still be demand for that. But yeah, probably likely to see a bit of a sell-off in uranium stocks as well. But as you said, they're highly volatile and highly difficult to predict.
All right. Elsewhere, of course, those travel stocks have been in focus, particularly airlines, given what's playing out in the Middle East, many having to divert flights or they were grounded at various times as well. But interestingly, the focus locally is on Virgin relisting.
Yes, yeah. So they relist today at 12 o'clock. Ords were involved in that IPO, so we know it quite well. We actually had a catch up with management yesterday afternoon in advance of their listing. A couple of the interesting things that the management have done there is that they've hedged their oil exposure, so the recent volatility in the oil price really doesn't have much of an impact on Virgin's result at all. And in speaking of Qatar, they obviously have that joint venture with Qatar. As you mentioned, there have been a number of airlines that have been diverting flights away from the Middle East at the moment, and that could well continue for a while. But the arrangement that Virgin have with Qatar is effectively a commission arrangement. So Virgin aren't on the hook for those flights themselves. They simply collect a commission for those flights as they're sold. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the stock relists today. From our point of view, as I said, we're involved in it. It looked like it was very, very well priced. So hopefully they listed a bit of a premium today.
All right, want to keep an eye on. Also, dare I mention CBA, another record. It is quite remarkable, isn't it?
Yep.
What are you seeing there at the moment?
Look, it is remarkable, and from a fundamental point of view, it's very, very difficult to justify an investment in CBA at the moment. We've still got a sell recommendation on that, but in spite of that, the share price keeps going strongly, and given the indication that the market's likely to be up today, it's probably one of those stocks that will continue to rise purely due to the weight of money and the passive funds that are going into super in particular, but into CBA is now over 10% of the index, so it really is that index play. It's difficult to play against that and to sell into that, but from a value point of view, we see that there's a lot better value in other stocks and other banks. At some point in time, if there is a bit of a shift in the world and we start to see some stimulatory activity in China and demand for resources goes up, well, then that barbell play comes into Australia, and then large funds will move out of the banks and into the resources. But at this point in time, we're not really seeing that. So, yeah, it looks like that momentum is still with CBA.